At the very beginning of the movie, we see a house where a woman is being held captive by her husband. To distract herself from her sorrow, she keeps spinning and playing with a small toy horse. This woman's name is Marnie. As memories of long-term abuse flood her mind, tears stream down her face. Meanwhile, her husband shamelessly plays loud music and dances. Due to a violent storm, a tree branch suddenly crashes through the window glass. This incident sparks a thought in Marnie's mind. To escape and put an end to all her suffering, the tuyul that had entered the room to suck her breast milk lets out a scream upon realizing that Marnie has escaped. Hearing the scream, the husband stops dancing. Looking outside, he sees that Marnie has indeed run away. Marnie begins to run across an open field, with a tuyul chasing after her. Eventually, she becomes trapped between the tuyul and her husband. Marnie no longer wants to be used as a tool to acquire her husband's wealth. She swears that even until death, she will never forgive her husband. Suddenly, due to the storm, lightning strikes Marnie's body, killing her on the spot. This marks the true beginning of the movie's main story. The scene then shifts to December 2003. In front of a shop, a notice board displays photos and information of women who have mysteriously gone missing. Here we are introduced to Amber, a shop employee, and Sukaman, the village chief, Pak Kades. A villager named Samsel expresses his concern, saying that someone goes missing every year, and strangely, all of them are women. Sukaman claims that he knew one of the missing women and insists that she was not actually missing but had run away with her lover. Another villager complains that not only people, but money has also been mysteriously disappearing. A clear example of this is Busaida, the shop owner. Because she could not cover her losses, she was forced to fire several employees. Now, Amber is the only worker left. Amber suspects that there must be a thief in the village. After that, Busaida begins tying and marking her money so it won't go missing again. Even so, within a single week, nearly 500,000 rupiah disappears, an amount considered quite large at that time. Shortly afterward, Amber's daughter Putri and her friend Kiki arrive at the shop. Busaida asks Amber to pack some rice for Putri. On the way home, Amber speaks gratefully of Busaida's kindness, saying that she was the only employee who was not laid off. Putri responds by saying that Busaida is simply pitying them. She no longer wants to live on other people's charity. Putri refuses to live this kind of life and wants to change her family's fate. Putri is eager to join boat sailing training so she can help support her mother and her younger sibling, Aji/Azir. Her mother asks where the enrollment fee will come from. Amber replies that the 500,000 rupiah would be better spent on house rent and Azir's school fees, which are already 2 months overdue. Amber firmly states that she will never allow Putri to join the training or work on a ship. Putri argues that to become successful and wealthy, some sacrifices are necessary. Still, Amber refuses. In her view, if success and wealth require staying away from family, then such success and money are meaningless. That afternoon, Putri and Kiki spend their time sitting in a small hut in the middle of a rice field. Putri asks Kiki for her opinion about her mother. Kiki replies that as long as parents are still alive, their words should be obeyed. She especially understands this because she herself lives only with her younger brother, Nurdan, and deeply feels the absence of her parents. Putri wonders whether she is supposed to live her entire life depending on other people's kindness. In response, Kiki jokingly says, "Making money is very easy these days. You can sell sorrow and earn money, sell religion and earn money through corruption, even through pesugihan. You just have to choose which one you want." Putri simply does not want to die poor. Her only wish is to make her mother and younger brother happy. Meanwhile, Busaida apologizes to Amber, explaining that Amber will have to leave her job that very day. On top of that, her money has been going missing repeatedly lately. Tembong, one of Sukiman's men, secretly overhears this conversation. Busaida tells Amber that she will only be able to pay her salary next month. Before that, Amber asks to borrow some money to pay Aji's school fees. However, Busaida says she cannot lend her anything right now, as she herself is struggling to gather even Amber's salary for the next month. On her way home, Amber takes shelter in a roadside guard post and breaks down, lamenting her misfortune. At that very moment, she discovers a plastic bag filled with a large amount of money. Amber immediately goes to the village head's house to report the matter. Tembong opens the door, and Amber asks him to call Sukaman. After waiting for a long time, a thought crosses Amber's mind: what if she uses the money before anyone finds out? And that is exactly what happens. Before Sukaman comes outside, Amber leaves the place. That night, Aji wakes up after hearing his mother muttering the words, "black chimney," in her sleep. He goes to the bathroom to urinate. When he returns, he sees that his mother has woken up and is walking in her sleep. Aji immediately calls Putri. After witnessing the situation, Putri rushes to Amber, and fortunately, Amber regains consciousness. Putri then brings Amber and Aji back into the house. Putri notices that a small crab Aji had caught in the rice field earlier that afternoon is still kept inside the house. At that moment, in the reflection of the water, Putri seems to see the shadowy figure of a tuyul. But when she turns back, there is no one there. The next night, Putri talks about the strange things she has been witnessing, her mother's fever, sleepwalking, things that had never happened before. The story then introduces Nerdin and Sisep, Kiki's cousin. It should be remembered that Sisep is the grave digger who appeared in the first Pamali sequel. The moment Sisep sees Putri, he becomes mesmerized by her beauty. To preserve that moment, Nerdin suggests that the three of them take a photo together. However, Sisep becomes slightly worried. According to him, taking a photo with three people is considered Pamali, a bad omen, and the person standing in the middle will be struck by misfortune. But Nerdin and Kiki do not really believe in such superstitions. In the end, Nerdin takes the photo, with Kiki standing in the middle. The scene then shifts to the following night. That night, Putri wakes up after hearing the sound of a door opening. She checks the room and finds that Aji is sleeping alone. Her eyes then fall on the money placed on the table. Putri goes outside and calls for her mother, but receives no response. Because of this, Putri goes to Kiki's house to ask for help in finding her mother. After hearing the situation, Sisep immediately steps in to help. He decides to go to the guard post to seek assistance from the villagers. Meanwhile, Nerdin stays at home to take care of Aji. When they arrive at the guard post, they find Sukuman already there. Putri explains that her mother is missing. However, Sukuman insists that Amber is not missing. His reasoning is that Amber herself asked him to keep the matter a secret. In fact, Amber had come to him asking for help finding a job. Coincidentally, one of Sukuman's acquaintances in the city was looking for workers. Amber had reportedly said that she would take the latest bus so she could arrive in the city the next morning. Moreover, Busaida had already fired her from her job. The next morning, Putri shows the money she found in her mother's room. She cannot understand where such a large amount of money came from. Thinking logically, Putri realizes that if her mother had truly gone to the city, she would have brought clothes with her. Not only that, she didn't even take the shoes she usually wore to avoid stepping on chicken droppings. At this point, Aji mentions that their mother had been muttering the words, "black chimney," in her sleep the previous night. Aji, who loves drawing, sketches what he saw on the wall. From the drawing, it becomes clear that it resembles the chimney of Pak Carsono's factory. Carsono is an extremely wealthy man, so wealthy that his factory is located deep inside a forest. However, for a long time, no one has dared to enter that forest. Rumors say that he keeps a tuyul. Not only that, it is also said that a terrifying black Kuntalanak inhabits the forest. An extremely violent spirit that terrorizes people and extorts wealth from them. According to Sisep, the black Kuntalanak is far more terrifying than an ordinary Kuntalanak, because it carries an unending fire of revenge that persists even after death. However, how all of this is connected to Amber is something the three of them still cannot understand. In the end, Putri decides to go into the forest to search for her mother. Kiki and Sisep have no choice but to accompany her. Aji also wants to go at first, but Putri forbids him and tells him to stay home and look after the house. However, Putri instructs Aji that if it gets late and she does not return, he should go to Nerdin's house. In short, the three of them set out together. Their departure is secretly observed from afar by Tembang. When they reach the bus stop, Sisep suggests that they ask the villagers for help. It is already Maghrib time, and going out at this hour is considered Pamali, or a bad omen. However, Putri clearly states that if Sisep is afraid and does not want to go, she will not force him. As they continue on their way, Sisep begins to feel that the surroundings are terrifying. According to belief, this is the time when all kinds of evil entities emerge. Suddenly, Kiki whispers, "Is that a Kuntalanak?" The moment he hears this, Sisep becomes angry and scolds Kiki, because even speaking their names in such a place is considered Pamali. Meanwhile, Sukuman is furious with Tembang for not stopping them. Tembang replies that Aji did not go with them, and that the boy could still be used as a tool if necessary. Back at home, Aji is still there and has not gone to Nerdin's house. As he tries to turn on the light, he hears the sound of his toy moving inside the room. The toy slides under the bed. There, Aji sees a tuyul and, without fear, begins talking to it. However, the tuyul dislikes Aji's excessive friendliness and suddenly attacks him, grabbing his hand. Trembling in fear, Aji runs out of the house. At that exact moment, he runs into Sukuman. Meanwhile, Putri and her companions finally arrive at the factory. As they attempt to enter, they see that the main gate is locked. At that moment, Kiki receives a call from Nurden. Nurden asks why Kiki still has not returned home even though it is already late. He suspects that Kiki is at the abandoned factory and orders her to return home immediately. But Kiki lies and says she is not there. Pretending that the signal is bad, she deliberately ends the call. After that, they use an axe to break the lock and enter the factory. As soon as they step inside, a large swarm of bats suddenly flies out, startling everyone. Sisep says this means that no humans have entered the factory for a long time, and that a place like this must surely be guarded by supernatural beings. Kiki feels regret that such a large factory has been left abandoned. According to village belief, those who keep a tuyul have children with very short lifespans, and Carsono had already died long ago. After that, they enter Carsono's office and begin searching the place. From one of the photos, Kiki learns that Sukuman once worked at that factory. Suddenly, their attention shifts when they see a cardboard box moving on its own. However, it soon turns out to be nothing more than a bat, causing trouble for no real reason. Soon after, they hear the sound of a woman crying. The sound sends chills through Kiki and Sisep's bodies, but Putri moves toward it, convinced that it is her mother's voice. For safety, Kiki asks Sisep to go outside and bring back an axe. On his way back inside, Sisep hears a suspicious noise coming from an underground room. Meanwhile, Putri and Kiki continue searching for Amber. Kiki finds a photograph showing a house located near the factory. Sisep then calls out to them, having discovered something important. It turns out that the underground room is actually a place used for Pasujihan rituals. Even more terrifying, Putri finds the exact same type of money there that her mother had previously found. Sisep suspects that this is tumble money, money deliberately left behind to lure victims. According to him, anyone who unknowingly picks it up becomes the sacrifice. At that moment, Kiki accidentally matches Amber's photo with the pictures of the other missing women. Suddenly, a gust of wind blows out the oil lamp, plunging the place into deeper darkness. Just then, a corpse falls from above, horrifying all three of them. Not just one after another, the corpses begin to chase them. At one point, a corpse grabs Putri's leg and pulls her. Fortunately, Sisep and Kiki rush forward and rescue Putri, and all three manage to escape from the place. Sisep and Kiki advise Putri to return home first and seek help from the villagers. But Putri refuses. She firmly believes that her mother is still there. Sisep warns her that the place is extremely dangerous. But no matter how great the danger is, Putri insists on going back. She has only one goal, to save her mother before it is too late. Kiki supports Putri's decision. Sisep breaks down emotionally, as he is once again facing a nightmare similar to what happened years ago in Dusun Pokang, where his friends lost their lives. Even so, Putri remains steadfast. She says, "If I don't go, then who will? I don't want my mother to end up like the women on those leaflets." She also makes one thing clear, she never forced Sisep to come with her. If he wants to leave, he is free to do so. She tells Kiki the same thing, that she can go home as well. But Kiki refuses to leave Putri alone. Their friendship has come too far, and she is determined to help Putri find her mother, no matter what it takes. In the end, Sisep goes back to bring help from the villagers. In short, Putri and Kiki head to the house seen in the photograph, hoping to find some clue about Amber's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Tembang stops Sisep on the way, and Aji has already been captured by Sukuman. Aji screams for help, and for a brief moment, the sound reaches Putri's ears. Putri asks Kiki if she heard anything, but Kiki says she heard nothing. Inside the house, Kiki notices a small horse carousel, Kuda Puter. As soon as she turns it on, a terrifying melody begins to play, Jera Matahu Full Bass Turbo 2025. It feels as if someone is whispering. When Kiki tries to take a photo, the camera flash reveals a horrifying shadowy figure, leaving her terrified. Just then, Putri suddenly appears, startling Kiki even more. The two of them then enter another room, where they find large stacks of money. There, they discover a photograph of Marnie and her husband, and they are shocked to realize that the husband is actually Sukuman. Their confusion deepens, because the house was supposed to belong to Carsono. So why is Sukuman's photo there? They then find a book about Tuyul Pesugihan. The book states that a Tuyul can only be killed when its owner dies. For a Tuyul to survive, it needs a woman who becomes its milk mother. It also says that Tuyuls are afraid of mirrors. Putri also finds the tightly wrapped money that Busaida had lost. But something doesn't add up. Carsono had died long ago, so he couldn't be responsible for all this. Which means that someone else must be raising the Tuyul. At that moment, they finally realize that the true mastermind behind everything is Sukuman. They continue their search. Suddenly, the sound of a woman crying echoes from another room. When they open the door, they see a staircase. Kiki warns that going upstairs is extremely dangerous. Putri tells Kiki to wait by the door if she's afraid to go up. After Putri goes upstairs, Kiki briefly sees Sisep heading inside, apparently to look for Putri. Quietly, Kiki follows him. Meanwhile, Putri finally finds her mother. Amber is tied up with ropes, her mouth gagged with cloth. The Tuyul has been draining her blood, leaving her in terrible pain. Putri quickly frees her, and the two of them escape as fast as they can. Once outside, Putri realizes that Kiki is no longer where she had been waiting. Elsewhere, Sukuman arrives at the factory and encounters Nurden, who has come searching for Kiki. Nurden harbors no suspicion towards Sukuman at all. Instead, he asks Sukuman for help in finding her. Sukuman agrees and tells Nurden to move ahead. At the perfect moment, when Nurden lets his guard down, Sukuman strikes him with a blade, ending Nurden's contract on the spot, sending him back to being just another streamer, as before. Meanwhile, Kiki sees Sisep inside one of the rooms and asks what he is doing there. But in the very next moment, Sisep suddenly vanishes right before her eyes. As Kiki tries to leave the room, her steps freeze. She hears the sound of the small horse toy once again. In the reflection of a mirror, Kiki suddenly sees a black Kuntalanak, sending chills through her body. Moments later, the Kuntalanak appears in front of her and brutally kills Kiki. Hearing Kiki's scream, Putri rushes in and finds that her beloved friend has already passed away. Amber holds Putri tightly, trying to calm her down. Elsewhere, the captive Sisep somehow manages to free himself. He and Aji move quietly, trying not to be seen by Tembang. Back to Putri and Amber, the two of them are spotted by Sukuman. Amber tells Putri to run away and decides to act as bait herself. Seizing the moment, both of them attack Sukuman. However, Sukuman fails to notice that the magical amulet around his neck has fallen off. Suddenly, he senses the presence of the black Kuntalanak. Panicking, he desperately searches for his amulet. Putri hides with her mother. At that moment, the Kuntalanak manifests in its terrifying form and moves to attack Sukuman. Unfortunately, Sukuman manages to find the amulet in time and, after chanting spells, succeeds in driving the black Kuntalanak away. Afterward, Sukuman resumes his hunt for Putri and Amber. He threatens them, saying that if they do not surrender, he will harm Aji. Left with no choice, Amber once again decides to sacrifice herself. She agrees to go with Sukuman on one condition, that her children will not be dragged into this horror. Meanwhile, as Sisep tries to escape, the black Kuntalanak begins chasing him again. Suddenly, a grinding machine turns on and lunges toward him. At that moment, Tembang appears, and the grinding disc flies off and strikes him in the head. Elsewhere, Aji emerges from inside a large drum where he had been hiding. In the dim light, he spots his mother and runs toward her, unaware that danger is closing in. A falling drum nearly crashes down on him, but Sisep saves him at the last second, collapsing unconscious in the process. Fortunately, Putri finds Aji. Putri knows that a Tuyul only dies when its owner dies. But killing Sukuman directly is not something she can do. The only truly deadly threat to Sukuman is the black Kuntalanak. However, Putri also knows that Sukuman possesses an amulet capable of warding off the Kuntalanak. Putri immediately comes up with a plan. She intends to use Aji as bait. Meanwhile, Amber threatens to end her own life. But Sukuman says, "What's the point of doing something so useless? You still have children who need their mother." Sukuman then snatches the knife from Amber's hand. Amber asks, "Why did I have to be chosen as the Tuyul's milk mother? It's Tumble." Sukuman replies, "You chose this yourself. If Marnie were still alive, Sukuman would never have needed Amber or any other woman. Sukuman never targeted anyone. But poor people always end up taking things that don't belong to them. After Sukamon leaves, the Tuyul enters the room to drink milk. At that moment, Sukamon notices Aji trying to escape. Instead of chasing him, Sukiman's attention is diverted by noises coming from his money room. When he enters, he sees fire beginning to consume his cash and valuables. Aji takes advantage of this moment and frees his mother. Seeing the situation turn in their favor, Putri attacks Sukamon, trying to snatch the amulet from his neck. However, being physically weaker, she cannot overpower him. Amber joins the fight, but she too is no match for Sukamon. Sukamon prepares to kill Amber, but Putri intervenes just in time. In the end, they manage to tear off Sukiman's magical amulet and lock him inside a room. At that moment, outside, the Tuyul grabs Aji and runs away. Putri quickly props her mother against the wall and rushes out to look for Aji. Suddenly, the Tuyul shoves Putri into a swimming pool. Although she manages to get back up, the Tuyul keeps attacking her relentlessly. Just then, Marnie appears and kills Sukamon. At the same instant, the Tuyul is destroyed as well. Aji survives and tightly embraces his sister. Tragically, Amber does not survive. Due to the severe blood loss caused by the Tuyul's feeding, her body can no longer hold on. In the final scenes of the movie, Sisep is shown to have survived. Mila and Anand come from afar to visit him, and they are introduced to Putri as well. Soon after, Mila receives a message stating that something strange has happened again in Dusun Pokong.